Hi, I'm Katherine Molloy. Did you know that the most important person you need to influence every day is yourself? And are you doing that positively? I'm a body language expert. I speak on communication for leadership, sales and service using tools, mindset, behaviors, and of course, that energy through our body language. Did you know face-to-face we get around 7 seconds to make a great first impression? On stages, we get around 15 seconds. But online, we are only getting 2 to 3 seconds. So what are you doing that could make a big difference for yourself, for your clients, and for your business? Join us on April the 16th with Big View TV and myself, and let's hack those first impressions. Speak soon.
2 to 3 seconds. Wow. How important are those first impressions? Critical, whether they are online, on stage, or face-to-face. Our expert today, who you just heard from, will be talking about ways to hack your body language online for more credibility, influence, and authority. If we haven't met before, I'm your host for today, Cheryl Tan. I'm a media trainer. I work with coaches, consultants, and corporate executives to help them show up with more confidence on camera. Whether your goal is to be a confident public speaker, a confident video creator, or a better presenter for your team, I can help you. So, who is joining us today? We love that we have people joining us from around the world. And if you are watching, please let us know where you are sitting right now. I'm in Virginia Beach, East Coast, United States. And we love that people come and they interact in our chat, whether you're watching live or on the replay. We just love that engagement here. So we also know that you may have questions. And if you do, our speaker today will be happy to answer those questions. If you have a question for Katherine, please type AQ in the comments, and I'll make sure that we get those questions in front of her. So we've got Dana from UAE. We've got Pierre from Texas. We have, I know, more people, so please let us know where, again, you are joining us from. It's such an international crowd, and it's really fun to get that conversation going in the chat. So let me tell you a little bit more about our speaker from today. Katherine Molloy is an international speaker and communications expert specializing in leadership, sales, and service. With 25 years of experience in business training and facilitation, Katherine believes in creating effective, engaging learning environments through powerful communication techniques. Katherine understands the joys and the difficulties of owning and running a business and understands that successful teams become more effective when they are consciously communicating and having fun. I present to you now Katherine Molloy. Katherine, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Great to see everyone. I see people in from Florida, Jersey, Nairobi. Yes. That's so cool. Great.
And we've got people from all over. You're going to see how engaged our community is. And I love that you focus on having fun when communicating. How did you get your start in this business? How did you get your beginning working with people to help them communicate more effectively in order to grab that attention quicker?
Wow, well, that's a big story, Cheryl. I started back, I think, around my 20s, and I started studying body language, and I was working in the bank, and I took some 7-day trips twice a year over to Asia, and a lot of the times we could only really communicate through our body language, and our language in those days was very different. A lot of places you travel now, people are speaking English, but it was a lot more fun. You really had to be very conscious of the other person. And so then I'd bring these skills back to Australia. And when I was in the bank, I ended up topping sales first in Queensland, then Australia-wide. And they said, "What are you doing?" And I just said, I love people, and a new product comes in, so I love to tell them about it. And so it kicked off my career. I met my husband. I said, "You might want to marry me. I don't want to have children because I love what I do." And he said to me that he couldn't have children. So marriage made in heaven, except we had 3 kids in 3 years straight away. So, the universe had a different idea. So I took time out. Yeah, took time out to bring up my children. I ran some direct selling for children's clothes, toys, books from homes, because I still loved connecting. And then unfortunately my husband fell ill in the GFC, great time, and we ended up selling the business. He thought he'd get better when everything went, but we had properties tied to it. We lost well over $1 million.
Oh, wow.
And before the bank found out that we had no jobs and no money coming in, there was a 50,000 gap in our home loan. I took that out and I started a training company because I thought everyone needs customer service and I love it. But what I quickly discovered was everyone wanted leadership skills. And I'd finished my master's in leadership and wrote some units for the diploma of leadership and management. And we started a training company that way. So we started off with leadership. However, I was really leading people to serve well. I was really leading people to make that big difference for their customers, because, if everything we do is around the customer, if it's not, then your business isn't going to grow. If your customer is wrong, then your business isn't going to grow.
Right. Some amazing lessons, Katherine, that you've learned and that you share through your training and through the work that you do with your customers and your clients. I want to encourage those who are joining us to stick around till the end, because you have a very generous giveaway that you're sharing with people who are in our audience. So I just, again, encourage people to stay until the very end so Katherine can talk about that. And I know you have a presentation you want to share with us. So I don't want to make sure that we have time to get to the presentation that you have planned for us.
Oh, well, thank you. And, Kevin said, we'd love you to come on, Kath, because of your warm and energetic style. And I thought, well, that's great. And that warm was an interesting word. So I looked it up in the dictionary and it means not so hot. So here I am, your not so hot body language expert, taking you through a few things today. But the most interesting thing that I found in 2020, these were the words most used by leaders. Can you hear me? Can you see me? And this is when the virtual really did kick off. And I think even today, the first thing we do when we jump on is, can you hear me? Can you see me? We had a bit of fun with that this morning. But what happened was, back in 2020, we really did get to start from scratch again. And it really was an opportunity, because I remember speaking to 40,000 HR consultants about how to engage their people back in that time of, 2020. And we wouldn't have had those opportunities. So for businesses and to grow, your message, your pitches, what you're doing really makes a difference. And today we're going to have a look at what are we doing with our hands, with our faces, when we do go virtual. Because, face to face, we get 7 seconds to make that great first impression. And then on stages, we get around 15 seconds to create likability. But online, we're only getting 2 to 3 seconds. And sometimes we get that fraction, that split. Someone will jump on and jump off. Oh, her nose is too big, whatever it is. But we do have to learn to capture our audiences. And so, of course, having a great camera, having great sound is going to make a big difference. So, have I made a great first impression yet?
Yes, definitely.
You think so?
Yes.
You can say yes. That's okay. You can hit yes there in our chat box if we have, but if not, it can take up to 12 more positive experiences of meeting me to change that first impression. Now, we don't always get the chance to meet someone 12 more times to change our first impression. Thank you, Perry. Great. All right. So one of the main, and Sherry there, yay. So one of the most
keep them
important
coming.
things.
Let's let Katherine know how she's doing, and she's doing great. Yes.
So one of the most important things is that webcam and looking into it. So today I'm on the side because I'm showing you the screen, but if you were talking about your product, then looking straight into that webcam is really important, because a lot of times people spend too much time looking at themselves on the screen instead of sending that message to you. So what I do with a lot of my clients is I just say, pop a little smiley face up near your camera to remind you to keep going up to your camera and give them that smile too, because you need to engage at a different level when you're online. Okay, so you actually even need a little bit more energy to bring people in, to not lose them. And now winners look up, they say. So today, my voice at 3 this morning is a little bit hairy, not as smooth as it normally is. And it's really important that we do have our camera just a little bit higher than our eyes, not too much, just a little bit higher, because it allows us to breathe a little bit better. If I was looking down at you the whole time, apart from seeing the top of my head, I'm also scrunching up my vocal cords. So what we want to do is elongate them, and you get a better look, a better smile. Have you ever seen a winner go through a line going, yay, I'm glad I won? They'll be like, yay. So we want you to feel like a winner when you're sharing your messages for your business too. And, we have these neurons that fire, that make us feel the exact same emotion as someone else. So if you're on here and you're just reading a script and you're getting it through, then how does your audience feel? If you have a little bit more energy, you're excited to be there, and you actually have information that's going to make a difference, they feel that as well, and they're going to engage a little bit more instead of dropping off and doing the next email, which I hope none of you are doing right now. But what they discovered as well through brain imaging technology is we react before we speak. I'm going to say that again, and feel free to write it down. We react before we speak, and this is where most miscommunication happens. And through a Gallup poll, they found out that the most important things that team members are wanting from their leaders is for them to be trustworthy. They look to the leaders and they want to trust what they're saying. However, I'm going to show you a video that shows how easily that we can say one thing and do the other.
Op dit moment stoppen we met handen schudden. Dus je kunt voet zoenen, je kunt elleboog stoten wat je wilt. Ik zie op scholen allerlei prachtige varianten met handen schudden al ontstaan. Maar ik stop vanaf vandaag met handen schudden. Oh, sorry. Nee.
So let me explain, because it was in French.
Yeah. That's a great clip, Katherine. That is really great.
I'm sure the president wanted it to be so great, but he's telling us one thing, make sure you're not shaking hands, do the elbow pump, do the foot tap. There's lots of ways you can do without shaking hands. And then straight away he shook hands. And then it was pointed out, oh, he shook hands. And then he grabbed him. Oh, we're not supposed to be touching. Oh, as human beings, we're not really conscious. They say about we're consciously standing, but they say about 95% of our thoughts are the exact same as yesterday. And those that are a bit more creative, it's around 90%. And so I always think, as leaders, can we be happy if these are the thoughts that drive our behaviors, drive our emotions, and even drive our values? That 90% of our thoughts could be the same as yesterday. So we need to be a little bit more conscious when we're speaking of our actions to what we're doing. And this is how easily that we can miscommunicate. And people at the highest levels are doing this. So I'm not saying it's easy, but we do need to practice it. We do need to think about it. And we're talking about influence today. So I want to see from you, and I'm not quite sure, can everyone do a reaction in the chat, or just can they do thumbs up? If anyone can help me or hear me.
People can just, as they're watching, they can just answer your question, right? So
okay,
they can type it in the chat. Yeah.
Fantastic. So either type in 1, 2, or 3. How do you think you best influence people? Is it 1, by making them fearful? I think Hitler may have done a good job with that. Is it 2, incentivize them? Oh, wow, if we get this done, we're going to have a party in the office Friday afternoon. Or, you can have an hour in the massage chair. Do we incentivize them, or do we influence more by creating certainty? 1, 2, or 3. Oh, yeah, we've got some hand pink waving. Great. In actual fact, I'm hoping you're sort of thinking creating certainty, because when we create certainty with our people, it can make a big difference. And we just saw the video where by accident we saw the president actually, what was he doing? He was saying one thing and doing the other. So we've got to be really clear in our messages that whatever we say, we're actually doing. I once had a trainer. We used to have 36 trainers around Australia, and one of them said to me, Kath, I really want to do time management. I love teaching time management. And I said, awesome, but you always turn up a little late. So we really need to be congruent with our messages, right? So if we are telling people something, it's got to be that it's in your gut, that you know this and that you are doing it. And so you are absolutely creating certainty with the people that you speak to, because these first connections really matter. And like we said before, you don't always get a second chance at making that great first connection. And people go, well, it mightn't be authentically me, because I show people how to shake hands, etc., to create more win-wins in life. And the same with our online. They say the online handshake is looking straight down the camera and giving a nod. Whoever thought that's where it would come from? However, once we can create likability, we then have an opportunity to actually get to know the person and for them to get to know us. So how presentations work in business is it's around significance. Now, it's never around us for significance, but always around that product that you've got, that service that you've got, that book that you want to get into the world, the keynote or the training program. So it's really important to understand that when you're really passionate about that, if this is so significant, it will create passion. Passion attracts attention. Have you ever noticed when you've spoken to someone about something you're really excited about, they all love it too? They all want a bit of it as well, because passion attracts attention. So attention leads to action. And really, the only reason we should be speaking is to create some sort of action for others or for ourselves if we're on stage and we're sharing that message. It shouldn't be just because we love to talk and we're going to go round and round and round in circles on the things that we love, right? We've got the power of 700,000 different movements. Now, there's a lot more things that we can do on stage with our body, but online, it's still really, really important to understand that you've still got a lot of power to influence. Now, one of the things that people love to do is to touch their face. I'm going to talk about that in a moment. So I'm going to go through a couple of things, but I think I'll show you this little video first, because finally all the leaders in the world were saying the same thing.
Don't touch your face, hands, and not touching your mouth and your nose and your eyes. Go!
Start working on not touching your face. Not touching your face.
Hard not to touch your face. Around the room here, I can't tell you the number of you who put your hands to your face.
So if you've got an itchy face, don't touch it. It actually takes away your influence. If I was talking to you now and I was touching my face and you asked me a question, and I touched my neck or my nose, you might start to wonder what's happening. What is she thinking? Doesn't she know this? If I ask a question to someone and they do this, I go, would it be okay if I speak to the supervisor, please? Because I know that they don't know right now, and I'm giving them a pain in the neck with my question. And I travel the world. I speak to thousands of people, shake hands with thousands of people. And I've never got sick on my travels. And I truly believe it's because I don't touch my face. In 2019, I had over 80 flights, 120 stages. And so it's really important to understand that everything we touch, everything has germs, but it's what you do with your hands after. I always tell people, don't touch men. Just kidding, we love men, but our mouth, our eyes, and our nose, because that's where you're going to transfer most of the germs to, right?
Yeah.
So what happens is, if I was to, touch my eye right now, and feel free to pop in the chat, what do you think it would mean if I was talking to you and I covered my eye while I was talking? How does that make you feel? What do you think?
It kind of looks like you're hiding something, right? That you're like trying to like hide something, or you're secretive, that kind of thing. But
Yeah,
let
maybe
us know
there's
in the
something
chat what you're thinking. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe there's something I don't want to see right now, or perhaps I'm crying, or there could be lots and lots of reasons, but generally it will send that message to the other person. So if you came to me and you would create a spreadsheet for me, for instance, hand it to me and I go, oh, great, and you walk away, how would you feel?
I think that you are not thrilled with the work that I just gave you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And straight away, you thinking it's you, right?
Mhm.
But what if it was me? What if I went, oh, no, I left out a column that needed to go on it? In my head, and then I go, oh, it's okay, I'll fix it. So I've had this whole conversation of self-talk in my head that the other person didn't know. But what if my hand came up here because we react before we speak? And I realized that, and I said to her, I'm so sorry. This is great. I forgot to let you know I needed another column. Would you mind putting it in for me? How would you feel then?
Better.
Yeah. You'd think, oh, Kat, she's silly. She should have told me. That's great. But it's the not knowing. It's the things that we don't say that confuse others, because we work it out in our head. Oh, I've left this column out. Oh, well, that's okay. I'll do it anyway. They don't know that we've had that conversation.
I think after this presentation, I think people are going to think a little more differently about all of the things, either that come out of their mouth, and then what their hands are doing, or some of their gestures. And I mean, it really, even just the beginning part of this presentation is making me think what other people can think regarding how we say what we are trying to get out in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then if I touch my nose, if more mouth cause meaning, and then if I touch my nose, how do you feel if I go, this is a fantastic product, you're going to love it? How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling like, ooh, a little grossed out, but then I'm like, what is happening? I'm not sure.
Well, I see this all the time on these videos that come through on, Facebook and Insta, and they go, we've got this awesome product, you're going to love it. And then I'm like, they're not even feeling comfortable with something right now. Now, I'm not telling you to fake it, but to watch yourself when you are doing pictures. So if you do, touch somewhere on your face while you're speaking, just pause it for a second, see what you're saying. Are you congruent with that? Is that product doing exactly what you're saying it's doing? If not, can you make the product do that? Or you need to change your talk language. Okay, because we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver anything in business.
Right.
So just have a good look whenever you're doing anything. Record yourself, watch it back, and are you touching your face anywhere? Because we don't want to make anyone else confused about any of the things that we're saying. All right, so our mouth, our eyes, our nose, because when we touch our nose, we cover our mouth. And if I'm covering my mouth talking to you, why would you think I would do that?
I think that you were thinking hard. You were thinking hard about something, or concerned about something, or perplexed, maybe. Yeah.
Maybe I'm keeping some words and you're saying things to me. I'm thinking totally the opposite, but I don't want to say anything just yet. Maybe I've got bad breath. I've had coffee, or maybe I haven't brushed my teeth. Some people cover their mouth because they don't like their smile. But in actual fact, the best you will ever look is when you smile. So don't go hiding those smiles. And if you want to influence yourself every day, you've got to give yourself that big smile in the mirror in the morning and say, come on, I've got this. Quite often on stages, I get everyone to lift their phones up, and then put them onto selfie mode and take a picture and have a look, because this is the way we influence ourselves, right? So
like
if you're
that.
there right now at home, feel free to take a selfie with a big smile with Cheryl and me in the background and go, yeah, this is the best I'll ever look. You know, just enjoy it. So not touching our face, our hair, everything. If you've got hair like me today that's falling in your face, the best thing is to not to touch it, because if I was here the whole time fiddling with my hair, it's going to be distracting for you. Okay, so that's one of the most important things. We have all these micro expressions, which I love, and it's okay to be animated. Just be careful that it's not too much all the time, and especially if something's going wrong. You know, we need to let, sometimes when we're delivering those hard messages, those bad messages, you might want to take your eyes away. You know, this happened in the past, but today. So it's how we deliver the message. And even on stage, we'll have our past, whereas I'm opposite today, the past where those things happened, and then we have the future to where we can go. So being able to deliver those messages to your audience, to the camera, really does make a big difference. And if things were really bad or we didn't meet the targets, don't throw it on everybody. That's when we can use the power of our eyes, because guess what? You look where I look. Did you see that over there? Did you look with me? So the areas of non-verbal intelligence are so important, because our bodies change our minds, and our minds change our behavior, and our behavior changes our outcomes. I want you to think about that, because what we think isn't always right. Let me quickly share this story of being in the car with my husband. So, you know, you might like to drive in the car. I'm not quite sure. You chat sometimes, you sing songs. You know, we quite enjoy that time in the car together. So we're going down a highway because he often picks me up from the airport or takes me to conferences. And this time we were traveling to Brisbane, and we had 3 lanes, and we were in the middle lane. Anyway, we're driving along, and I said to my husband, do you mind? I've got to whip out my phone and get some emails done before I get to the conference. He said, sure, no worries. Pulled out my phone, started work, and next minute I started to see his head turn. You know, we've all got peripheral vision. So I quickly leant back so he could see to change lanes while I kept working. But the interesting thing is the next minute, I sort of felt this heat down my arm, and I looked at my husband, and he looked a bit grumpy, and I said, what's the matter? This is what he said. He's driving the car. You don't need to tense up when I'm driving. There's nothing wrong with my driving. Now, we've been married for 30 years, and maybe he's gone up the gutters, I don't know, 100 times, and he's backed into every car we've ever owned. So maybe I've tensed up a couple of times. And, you know, but this time he was in the right, he was traveling straight, and I shouldn't be tensing up. So I looked at him and I said, oh, sorry, I just leant back so you could change lanes. And this is what he said. Sorry. Now, I had the right to be mad at him, because did you know husbands and wives can fight for up to 2 days because of the raised eyebrow at the wrong time. And right now he yelled at me for something I didn't do. But in actual fact, I quickly reflected. And when I'm speaking on conscious leadership, I believe that reflection is one of our best tools. I quickly reflected and realized that this miscommunication actually came from me, because we react before we speak. And in this case, we hadn't even spoken. John, my husband, might have been turning his head to turn on the radio, to put on the air conditioning, to ask me a question. But in my split second, I made up a story for him that he needed to change lanes. And in his split second, he made up a story for me that I was tensing up because he was going to hit something. So you see how quickly we miscommunicate, even when we don't even speak a word. But reflection, had I leant back and said, John, do you need to change lanes? Then he could have said the same thing. He could, sorry, we're just doing a little test. We thought my microphone, is the microphone working well? hopefully. So the same thing could have happened there for him. Was he made up this quick story? I made up a quick story. And we were both wrong, both of us. But in reflection, being able to apologize when I said sorry, he then said sorry, and we were able to get onto it and actually laugh about how silly things happen and how quickly they happen. So I would just want you to think about that in your life too, where perhaps, as I said before, if I leant back and actually said to him, do you need to change lanes? It would have solved everything. So we've got to be aware of our reactions. And even me, who's so conscious of them, can still make those errors. But in reflection, we can start to see where our conversations go wrong. And you know, when you are, I don't know what you're doing in the background. Is anyone on their phones? Is anyone doing emails? Or are you engaged right now? I'm hoping you might be able to type into the chat that you're engaged. But you know, the interesting thing is the most important computer on this planet, by the way, which is what? What's our most important computer on the planet? Oh, yep, perfect. It's our mind, it's our brain, and yet we download so much crap into it. Does anyone else ever feel that? And, you know, a lot of what we do is actually our multitasking. It's the way that we multitask, right? And they've actually proven that we don't multitask. We just go in and out of this email, then over to the socials, then onto the phone, then onto the computer, then ringing a client. And that is what is more likely causes burnout for most of us. But as you can see in this picture, I'm actually online, but I'm using cards. So sometimes I'll use cards and hold different things up because we want to be able to keep everyone engaged. Mind, better word than brain, great. All right, so it really is about virtual influence. It's about keeping your audience engaged, keeping them speaking with us. Fantastic. So making sure, like we were just having a chat now, making sure that the speaker, so right now I've got a speaker here and our boom just broke. So maybe as I'm moving aside, it may not sound as loud. So making sure that we've got the great speakers, that we've got great cameras, that we add stories into what we're saying and create some of those metaphors. What we know today is that presentations are getting smaller. We're eliminating elements that can be interesting, that can be engaging. And so sometimes, because we're making things shorter, we're not giving people the real taste of everything. And, you know, I see some of my clients, you know, they one of them has a bakery and he it's a massive bakery and people ask for discounts and he goes, do you want me to take the cream out? You know, why are we taking the cream out of our stories? So have the courage at times not to actually shrink the presentations because they're telling us that people are only watching things for 2 minutes and turning off. Yet the most views are coming from our 30-minute plus presentations. So making it smaller doesn't always make it better. So think about that. But a picture does say 1,000 words. So making sure that we are being able to engage a little virtually as well, whether it's with cards or sign or your whiteboards on your Zoom, but allowing people to engage with us is important. Also, just remember these things.
I just asked a question. Shut up, man! And I'm here with Mr. Peckman, who is the office queer here. Quail here. This isn't good. touch your face.
All right, great. I love the engagement that's coming through at the moment. We're going to pop into 6 steps to nail your virtual influence. But Tiffany, yes, different lengths for different platforms. So YouTube, they have discovered is, 30 to 45 minutes, like a presentation, people are really starting to engage and watch. Whereas you might do a snippet of that on your Insta to get them to come to the YouTube. And of course, TikTok can go for how long it wants to. If it's engaging, people are going to stay watching it. Multitasking is a sign of intelligence, great intelligence, maybe, but for a lot of people, in the end, it leads to burnout when they're doing too many things, too many balls in the air. This is what happens. So 6 steps to nail your virtual influence. Are you ready? Do you want to know? You probably
I want to know,
do.
definitely.
You probably already do know these, but what we'll do is we'll just run through them now for you anyway, as we're leading to the end of the presentation, and then we'll have questions, of course. Dress for success. So even on your online presentations, dress for your audience. And, maybe we have shorts and slippers on underneath here. I don't know. Well, today I do have my pants on, but at least dress for the audience. Know your audience, because sometimes less is more, because the more we have can be a bit more distracting. So unless you are famous and you always have this look that you do, then do it. Otherwise, try not to be too distracting for your audience. All right, the second one is set up, prepare, and check your equipment. Of course, that's so important. And I understand that no matter how many times we do this, things can go wrong. Can you believe it? I woke up to a computer flashing pink this morning, and I said a couple of prayers over it, and it's still working at the moment. But sometimes it's out of our hands, right? Luckily, I have a second computer on the go here as well. Making sure that you test that audio, test the video. Can they hear you? Can they see you? The most important words that we use online. And I'm glad that you all can today. Control what others see and perceive. And so what I mean there is, if you're not feeling confident, you can control that confidence. We can control the way that we use our face. We control our hands from stopping touching our face, so that others can see that we're confident. Sorry, I'm just having a quick look here. Multitasking has been linked to also unwanted attention. I'm sure that everyone can see. Wow. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's incredible facts coming through there. If you can all see what's coming through as well, it's pretty interesting. All right. So, as we said before, keep out unwanted intruders. Let them know that you are speaking online so that they don't walk in their underpants. I was speaking yesterday to someone, the husband walked in his towel from the shower. So it does happen. Let people know when you're online, if you're being seen. And of course, when you're not speaking, keep muting that video button. The last thing you want is someone screaming from the background into you in front of everyone as well. So there are a couple of things that really help you be more influential online. Now, also we need to check, because different sites. So today I had to hit mirror my image, whereas on Zoom I do it a different way, so that people can actually read what you've got on screen. Because sometimes when it's set up, always make sure that you check that with someone prior, or use your phone, jump in and have a look and see, can people actually read what you're putting up, or is it back to front for them? So nailing your virtual influence, be certain of your abilities, because you've got this. You're speaking on something that you know about, so believe in yourself. Look down that camera, give yourself a big smile, and just remember, don't touch your face. All right, project friendliness, warmth, and trustworthiness. And once again, most of that comes through the way that we stand, that we don't block ourselves off. Some people love to hold folders in front of themselves and create these blocks. So we want to stay open. How can we increase our confidence online even if we don't feel confident? Okay, fantastic question. So there's hopefully some of these things. Dressing for success, checking everything will make you feel a lot more confident. Understanding not to touch that face when you're talking. Be certain of your abilities. This is your story. So if you feel that you're still not confident to share this message, then I don't think you've practiced it enough. And practice, they say practice makes perfect. It's okay. And if something goes wrong, to be able to address that elephant, have a laugh about it, and keep on going. But this only comes from hours. Now, they say 10,000 hours makes you a master at what you do, but you may not get 10,000 hours. So a couple of things that you can do. One, you can grab a coach to help you. You can grab a coach to help with your, sorry, I'm reading as I'm talking, with your PowerPoint so that you feel comfortable with what you're doing. And if you're not doing a PowerPoint, then there's a few different things that we can do online here to help you as well. So yes, please reach out if you're not feeling confident about your presentations, and we can also help you with that. However, it does come through from the body. Now, they always go, is it the body or the mind? Is it the chicken or the egg? Obviously, it's coming through our mind, because then our body falls to how we're feeling. But what we know is we can get into state very, very quickly. And so when we get into state, they say even before you go on, I don't do this, but I'm going to have a bit of a look at it. We make ourselves bigger when we have our hands on our hips. And they've done tests that if you stand like this for 2 minutes and then come on, you will feel bigger and you will feel stronger in what you're doing and more confident with yourself. So practice builds confidence, reps, dry runs, breathe. Yes. Making sure you breathe is hugely important. And it's a massive part of body language. So today we're just focusing on the virtual, but the most important thing to understand is even when you're meeting your clients, if they're breathing fast and you're breathing super slow, sometimes you need to increase to match them. If they're very slow and you come in really fast, maybe you need to slow down that breathing as well. And when you're coming in to speak, it's also important that you've done a little bit of breathing beforehand, but not too much, because you don't want to give yourself heady. But the 4 square breathing is really good. And I do it with a lot of my people before they come on, just so that they fully relax themselves. One of the things I love to do is to visualize how people are going to feel after they receive that content, what they can take away and make a difference from. So there's lots of things that you can do, but just remember, we're more nervous when we're worried about how we're going to appear than actual fact, what we want to share. So if you can think that, if you're starting to feel nervous, then it's not about you. It's really about what you're giving to the audience. I hope that helps. And the last thing, and one of the big things in body language, is listening. Actually, that whole global listening we do with body language. So the inner head is always like, oh, what am I going to ask them? What am I going to say? The focus listening is understanding what they're saying. But when we're global listening, we're doing all of that, plus taking in the context of what's happening. We're reading the signs, and we understand that our body language is sending signals. What are we doing in this conversation? So there's 6 things that you can do to help. Now my voice in the morning, to help nail your virtual influence. So take a pick if you like, or I'm sure that you can watch a replay if you like. Okay. It's the small tweaks that we do that make the big differences. It's never one thing that you do that's going to change everything. It's the little things that we speak about, because I love this great American poet and writer. People will forget what you said, and people will forget what you did, but people will never forget the way you make them feel. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? When you get off the virtual stage, how did you feel from today? And remember, of course, don't touch your face. I just want to share this with you, The Conscious Leader. We've got a couple of books here, and we will send them out to 2 audience members. The Conscious Leader, is here for you. And it was written before COVID and through COVID. And the $1 Million Handshake was published through Hachette, and the international rights were bought through Orion Books and made Business Book of the Year in UK in 2018 for $7. And so it traveled the world. It's been produced in little versions for India, Taiwan, Vietnam, traditional Chinese. It's been printed in. And yes, so we would like to help that get to you as well today. And all the books that we have actually support different charities. So I've worked with orphans for 12 since we lost our business and I started my business since 2009, and we traveled to Uganda. We also have just created, any women out there, feel free if you want to jump on the QR code. This is a free monthly live leadership webinar, and we're actually coming into your country in your time zone and working with hosts there around the world. So pretty exciting. We're just kicking off this month. So we're not doing too much advertising yet. We're going to do a soft launch and then we'll be into it. And it's because I work with so many CEOs and women's groups, and I always find how sad I feel when they're in tears, and even in these high roles, there's this lack of confidence. So we really want to help build that around the world. And then we have also membership package where you buy one, you give one, and we're helping our women in countries get information they wouldn't get. So you probably can't see all these links on this screen, but we will get them to you. I've been in about 8 best-selling books around the world, but these are my 2 books, and we're going to give one copy away to one of the Conscious Leader, one of the $1 Million Handshakes, as well as another product that we're going to talk about in a moment. What if the future of the world depended on your ability to virtually influence? What if the future of the world depended on your ability to virtually influence? Well, I believe the future is you. And I really hope you've enjoyed today. So let's sit and have a little bit of a chat and some question and answer time.
Yeah, Katherine, this was so helpful. I mean, you can tell through the conversation people are having in the chat that they're really connecting with what you're saying. And I'll tell you my own self, I didn't think that I touched my face. I do a lot of speaking, but every time I feel like I'm like touching my face, and I maybe it's this power of suggestion, but I'm really going to be thinking about how to keep my hands away from my hair, my mouth, and my nose, because it's one of those things that, as you were sharing in some of the clips that you shared, it's you don't even think about it. You don't think about these things, and I love what you've shared to help us to present better online and of course in person. So Katherine, thank you so very much. And we've got people saying, Marielle says, thanks for your tips and tricks. I have a mental health foundation and a podcast, and these will help a lot. These tips are so valuable. And again, these are things we're not thinking about.
So great.
High Road RV agrees. Yeah, High Road RV is with me. I needed the reminder not to touch my face. Again, like I didn't think I did, but as I'm talking, I'm like trying to I'm trying to physically keep my hands away. So in any case, it's a good reminder, and one that I know that I will think about after. So we've got another question from Dana. Can you share the 4 square breathing tips if possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So we breathe in for 4, we hold for 4, we breathe out for 4. Okay, so breathe in for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, hold for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, breathe out for 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we start again. There's also an 8-7-2, but once again, deep breathing too much beforehand can make you feel lightheaded. However, focusing on your breath and holding that breath and then letting it out takes your mind off everything else. So the 4 square breathing, can really help with that. Just to center yourself for a moment and to ground yourself.
That's wonderful. Katherine, thank you once again. And again, your giveaways, there are links in the chat. And of course, people can find you online and connect with you there in order to reach you and learn more about how you support communicators. Again, Bruno has put the information in the chat so you can sign up for your giveaway. Any last tips or tricks?
So,
Katherine, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So much is happening in the chat. I was just going to let you know about the Big View giveaway, which is my new launchpad. So I'm not quite sure how you choose who's going to get the books or who's going to come to my new launchpad. But I think someone here today, if they have 10,000 ideas for their business and they want some clarity on which way to go, if they're about to jump into structure their book, a keynote, workshops, then my new launchpad is for you, and we would love you to come and join the next one. And I love to do them in the time zones as well, so that when I find out whoever it is, where you are, we will gather another 8 people to do this with you. And it's 3 by 2-hour workshops live with me online. And we create those 8 foundation steps for you so that everything is aligning, because most of the time as entrepreneurs and, small business owners, we have lots of ideas going on, but we really need to get clarity and, one key idea and go deep with it. And this is what I love to do.
Oh, I love it. Well, we can tell through the last 50 minutes or so how passionate you are about this subject. And we really appreciate your knowledge, your wisdom. And one last question from Tiffany. Speaking about breathing, if you try to match the breathing of your client, is it still possible to maintain your own energy? So matching breathing, but stabilizing energy.
Yes, absolutely. So what would happen is if I came up to a CEO who was a little bit more reserved and quite calm, and if I came up going, blah, 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 I'll feel like a whirlwind to him, and he may not be able to understand what I'm talking about. However, if I come up, I see he's a little bit more calmer, then I calm myself with my breathing as well. But I am still me. I still have that energy. But it is something that we do need to learn to control. And they're going to love that when they get to know us. But if I create a situation where he doesn't want to get to know me, then I've lost my chance. So it's important to start to learn to create these win-wins and then get to know someone. And then you can decide maybe it's not someone you want to partner with either. But why create a win-loss? You go, yep, no, I don't want that person. But then what are they going to say about you too when you walk away? So I think if we can start to understand how to create these win-wins, at least at the beginning, so that we got a chance to actually get to know this person and make a difference.
I love that. And remember, this is on YouTube. So after we wrap up this live session, you can go back and watch this session again. I can tell people who are joining us today, some of them might want to go back, might be interested in going back and listening to some of your tips again. Once again, Katherine, thank you for joining us. Thank you as you're joining us here live or on the replay. We appreciate your time. And we will see you back here for another one of these sessions next week. Have a great one. Thank you for joining us. Take care. Bye. Own any room you walk into and instantly show up as the leader in your space. Hi, I'm Cheryl Tan. I'm a former TV news anchor turned entrepreneur, and I love working with leaders to help them develop 3 pillars of communication success: messaging, presentation, and strategy. Does this sound like you? You aren't sure how to look professional on stage or on camera, and that impacts how confident you feel showing up at all. You don't know how to describe what you do simply and clearly. You are most certainly an expert in your industry, but you haven't figured out yet how to explain that better. And finally, you don't have a presence anywhere, or at least an online presence you're proud of, which means you need to figure out how you want to show up
and what you need to do to create that platform. My custom plan focuses on your message, your presentation, and your strategy. Once those three things are working for you, you will get noticed by the right people and opportunities. The best way to see if we're a fit is to have a conversation. Go to cheryltanmedia.com/consultation to book a call. I can't wait to hear your story.
Prompter, create videos you're proud of. Easily trim your video by selecting the words where you want to start and end. Color your presentation with automatic subtitles and highlighting keywords. Add your brand logo. Add music for an emotional touch. Add your contact info on an animated business card on all your videos. Easily replace green screen with an image or a video loop. Stand out with a web page with your logo, your video at the center, and personalized button for visitors to interact. It's one tap to simultaneously upload your videos on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Always know what to say next with the Big View teleprompter.